History is full of giants, but few stand as tall as Napoleon Bonaparte. He was a man who seized destiny with both hands. Born on the island of Corsica in 1769, he wasn't even technically French at first. His family was minor Italian nobility, and he always spoke with a thick Corsican accent. But this outsider possessed a burning ambition and a genius for military tactics that would soon set Europe ablaze. He was sent to military school in France, a lonely boy who devoured books on history and strategy. He felt like he had something to prove, and the chaos of the French Revolution gave him the perfect stage to do it. The France of the 1790s was a nation in turmoil. The king had been executed, the old order was shattered, war and terror ruled the streets. For a talented and ruthless young officer like Napoleon, this was a world of opportunity. He first made his name at the Siege of Toulon in 1793. His star just kept rising. With his popularity soaring, Napoleon saw that the weak and corrupt Directory was failing. France needed a strong leader. In 1799, he took his chance. In a swift coup d'état, he overthrew the government and established a new one called the Consulate. He was named First Consul, which really meant he was the dictator of France. The people, tired of years of chaos, largely supported him. They craved stability, and Napoleon promised to provide it. He immediately set about reforming France. He created a new legal system, the Napoleonic Code, that is still influential today. In 1804, he made his ambition clear to the world. In a magnificent ceremony at Notre Dame Cathedral, he crowned himself Emperor of the French. He took the crown from the Pope's hands and placed it on his own head, a symbolic gesture that he owed his power to no one. The royal courts of Europe were shocked. What followed was an incredible period of military conquest. Napoleon's Grande Armée seemed invincible. At Austerlitz in 1805, often called his masterpiece, he faced a combined Russian and Austrian army. By 1807, Napoleon was the master of the continent. The only major enemy that remained defiant was Great Britain, protected by the Royal Navy. Even at the height of his power, Napoleon was making mistakes. His first major blunder was the continental system. Unable to invade Britain because of its powerful navy, which had decisively beaten the French and Spanish fleets at Trafalgar in 1805, he tried to defeat them economically. But this plan backfired spectacularly. The next disastrous error was the Peninsular War. In 1808, Napoleon decided to depose the Spanish king and put his own brother Joseph on the throne. The Spanish rose up in a furious national rebellion. This was not a war of kings and armies, it was a brutal guerrilla war. Spanish partisans, aided by a British army under the future Duke of Wellington, tied down hundreds of thousands of elite French troops for years. But the greatest catastrophe of all was yet to come. It was the invasion of Russia in 1812. The Tsar, Alexander I, had defied the continental system and reopened trade with Britain. Napoleon captured Moscow, but it was a hollow victory. The city was largely deserted, and soon set ablaze by Russian patriots. The retreat was one of the great horrors of military history. Starving, freezing, and relentlessly harassed by Russian Cossacks, the once mighty Grande Armée disintegrated. The myth of Napoleon's invincibility was shattered forever. The disaster in Russia was the signal for all of Napoleon's enemies to strike. The nations he had subjugated saw their chance for revenge: Prussia, Austria, Sweden. Russia funded by British gold. The decisive clash came in October 1813 at the Battle of Leipzig, the Battle of Nations. Napoleon's army was outnumbered and eventually overwhelmed. It was a crushing defeat. The following year, the Allied armies invaded France itself. Paris surrendered in March 1814. Napoleon Bonaparte, the Emperor of the French, was forced to abdicate his throne. The victors exiled him to the small Mediterranean island of Elba. Less than a year later, in March 1815, he escaped. He landed in France with a handful of followers, and the nation rallied to him. The soldiers sent to arrest him joined his cause instead. He marched to Paris in triumph without a single shot being fired. The final act of this incredible saga took place on a muddy field in modern-day Belgium on June 18, 1815, the Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon faced a combined British, Dutch, and German army under the Duke of Wellington, with a Prussian army under Marshal Blucher rushing to join them. It was a close-run thing, a desperate, bloody battle that hung in the balance for hours. But in the end, the arrival of the Prussians turned the tide. The French Imperial Guard, Napoleon's elite veterans, broke and fled. He was exiled to the remote, windswept island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic, where he died in 1821. His story serves as a timeless lesson in how towering ambition can lead to both legendary glory and total ruin.